Is that your YouTube
YouTube channel.
Okay.
Farmer Henry McClure here. So,
And
Dave, we're back in the Topeka factor.
it's the Topeka factor,
And
which is more relevant than ever before due to the fact that it's an election year.
yes, one of us here is running for county commissioner.
Not the guy in the white hat.
Hey, he's the good guy. The voters
Exactly.
and the people are the good guys. Hey, I'm going to shut that front door.
Okay.
Because if you leave the door open, the wrong dogs will come home.
We don't want the wrong dogs. As Hank Williams Jr. once sang, Hank Williams Sr. once sang, uh, move over, bad dog, because the good dog's moving in. And what we're going to do here is discuss with Henry the campaign for county commissioner and the issues which are facing Shawnee County and Topeka this year, among other things.
How long have we really known each other?
And I say it goes back to the late 70s, maybe?
Well, see, here's
possibly.
Okay, but when were you on Kiwi?
Mid 70s. First year at Big Kiwi was 1974. And last year there was late 1977.
But that was back when the media was real.
Absolutely. It was not as fragmented. There were actually in the mid 70s, FM radio was just becoming a factor, but there were like 4 different ownership groups in Topeka. They all had ties to the community. You had Stauffer Broadcasting, you had Wren with Alf Landon, you had K-Top, which was owned by Harris Broadcasting, which was out of Hutchinson, and then of course you had Midland Broadcasting, which owned Kiwi and K-Sweet.
You know, I always I like the Big Reynolds.
Big Fred.
Fred, man, he was great because I used to sail against him.
Yeah.
Fred was a whole different character.
I don't know that I'd want to go up against Fred much of anything, including sailing.
Well, that's what I loved about him because I could kick everybody's ass. I had a little sunfish.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Hey, look, there's my trophy back there.
okay.
See, got a sailing trophy.
Oh, that's it. Okay. I was looking at your 2018 Hot Wing King.
It was fun being a wing king.
A wing king.
But I'll tell you one of the, I never expected I was going to have to run Pizza Pup.
Oh yeah,
I never was the food guy.
Yeah.
But when I got into it, number one, I called my buddy Dana K. Anderson in the mall business. And I said, I think we charged our food guys too much rent in the mall business.
Oh.
Because it's so tough and the margins. But I'll tell you what the worst thing was finding help.
And that's still a problem.
Well, so
evidently.
So did we shoot ourselves in the foot with the corporate giants, the corporate welfare that we gave the big, the box movers, Target, Walmart, Home Depot.
Okay.
So the big Mars, so those guys get the corporate welfare. They can pay better benefits and they can pay higher. So they take all the people out of the job market and the little guy can't. So did we shoot ourselves in the foot with that economic development money? I'm asking you.
Well, I can understand that if someone out there doesn't have a job and they want a job and they get to choose between somebody paying $20 an hour with benefits as opposed to somebody paying $15 an hour with no benefits, no time off, et cetera, et cetera.
Here's what the point I'm trying to make.
But as far as shooting ourselves in the foot's concerned, what else would we do?
Well, so
if we don't do what has been done, I guess you're saying we have subsidies.
Well, how did it help us?
Well,
so the whole idea between the sales tax money.
Now you drive down Highway 75 south, just like I did yesterday on my way to my listing in Burlington. Um, Now you see this string of these massive logistics distribution centers that are built by the companies you're referring to. Now, back in the 70s, when you drove down US 75, what did you see? Well, you saw a bunch of massage parlors. Not that I'd ever patronize one, but
Sandy's Paradise.
so as far as shooting ourselves in the foot,
That's kind of funny.
honestly, I don't know, Henry. The
Well, you got to get to know your market as a commercial guy.
you know, we do our research. What it's called
Oh
for.
man.
But Forbes is the air base isn't there anymore, and South Topeka Boulevard, in my view, still doesn't look all that great. By the way, when you talk about the food business, I'd like to throw a plug in for my friends who opened up a place called the Buffalo Grill over there in Pauline. Great place to get a wide variety of both American and Mexican. Yeah,
Yeah. We lived out where Debbie Hill lives now.
right.
But that her her grandparents were my
Absolutely.
neighbors,
Yeah,
and her mom was my mom's best friend.
yeah, the Smallies.
Yeah, the Smalleys, and he built. I can show you Smalley architecture. He built a lot of multifamily. He built a lot of houses in Westboro.
You're talking about
In fact, your
Smallies.
big listing you had in Westboro that we toured,
Yep,
that was a
on
Smalley. I
Lakeside.
think that was a Smalley house.
Smalley Senior.
Yeah.
Yeah, he built. What was I going to say? Oh, he built the Elms at Fourth and Topeka. And actually, Dorothy in her office had this really great architectural drawing of a fabulous looking Art Deco building that he was going to build until the crash came along and he didn't have enough money to build it.
Well, you can blame Dorothy for me coming home.
Okay.
I was in Florida.
Someone has to assume responsibility for
Yeah,
that.
it's about time we got that out there. But anyway, Dorothy was my mom's best friend, really a second mom to me.
Yeah.
And I just loved her. We called her Dorothea. So anyway,
Well, oh, sorry.
that's all right.
If you look up the word class in the dictionary or classy, you'd find Dorothy Hill's picture.
Well, and then if you
As well
wanted
as
to
her husband.
suit, yeah, if you
Oh,
wanted
wait.
to suit in Topeka, you went to Fred Hill.
Fred Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was the man's man.
He
Quite
was,
a haberdasher.
well, and he was always impeccably turned out.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, he was.
He was the original snappy dresser.
It was like
Snap, snap.
if you ever saw
snappy
the
dress.
show Mad Men, he would have been.
Yeah.
He was a madman.
Yeah.
Completely dressed to the nines. But and what I liked about Fred, no matter what, he looked cool. You know what I mean? Like
He always looked cool.
and he acted cool.
We when
Well, it wasn't a bad deal being married to Dorothy.
yeah, yeah,
She was hot.
that's a step up for anybody.
Yeah. And Debbie, I mean, wow.
So yeah,
Oh, okay. So we digress. But here, so we'll put in a plug for Pauline.
and the Buffalo Grill.
But and we ought to what do you got listed down in Burlingame?
Well, Burlington,
Burlington.
it's the only listing I've ever had in Coffee County, and it's on a little road called Quail Lane, and it's about a 2,200 square foot home. It started out as a very humble dwelling, which has been added on to periodically throughout the years. It still has a lot of the old bullseye trim in it. It's ranch.
What's bullseye trim?
Well, it's the the trim with the around the doors as opposed to just the
And bullseyes on the corners?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some old.
That's early 20th century.
That's good carpentry.
Yes, it is. And
Back when craftsmen were building out.
absolutely.
Okay, so can I butt in here now?
Well, please, yeah.
I want to butt in on one thing because
Can I give the price real quick? 159.
159. How many bedrooms?
It's got at least three, maybe four,
3, maybe 4. Now, how many? How many acres?
with a huge outbuilding, metal
Like a man cave,
Butler style building, which is like 40 by 80.
like a Okay, so and how much land's it sitting on?
4.5 acres,
4.5 acres.
pastoral setting, and low
So
taxes in Coffee County.
let's get some information on that listing. I want to prove to Marshall because I've been talking to him. I've got a property of yours up on Crexy for you and give you the leads.
Right.
Happy to help out.
That is the, and I don't know whether I can ask you this
You can ask
on
me
air or
anything. You
not,
can ask me anything.
but that's currently a Pizza Hut. And what we're wondering is what the timeline is for Pizza Hut moving into their
Well, so
new building at
they got
9th and
their
Topeka.
city council approval. Actually, I got a call into Rezac right now
Yeah.
because we've spent 2 years getting a Pizza Hut up in David Banks district.
Over on Southeast 29.
Yeah. And like Sue Shields she's working on a big deal in that area. She helped do the
Casey's.
yeah, she's a sharp kid. She came into my office a long time ago, and she wanted me to hire her, and I'm, I'm just not like a coach, I'm more of a player than a coach. You know what I mean?
I get that.
Yeah. So, but I'm also getting to the point in life where I've got a lot of knowledge I can pass along. And I'm working with, I want to start working with different real estate people on a referral basis because what I want to do is I want to sell. And the more listings you have, the more uh, laborious.
Yes, listings beget listings.
So if I can get some listings, what was that?
What is that? Oh, you're getting a message. But
Well, so anyway, the more listings I can get and farm them out to on a referral basis, the more I can keep selling.
correct.
And so, um, and I was just asking Marshall a minute ago, and I'm still trying to circle back to the sales tax issue, but
That's a good issue to circle back to. And this pertains to your candidacy for the county commission.
but what are we?
Um,
Are we marketers? Is it about our media and our marketing to get to expose deals? Or, how much time as agents do we actually, you get the title work ordered, you work with the lawyers to get the transaction done and approved, but it's all about marketing and your reach in the social media, in the marketplace, on the internet. Okay.
so your question is,
How much do you spend in your time actually closing the transaction versus marketing?
I would think that I'm sort of thinking out loud here, and at my age, that can take a while. Uh, a lot of real estate transactions, which don't seem like they're going to be very difficult when you enter into them, become extremely difficult and complicated as unexpected developments occur. So,
That's why I always order my title work first. If I'm going to get a listing, let's get
yes.
the title work. I go out to Alpha Title, Sherilyn, who
Oh, Sherilyn,
Marvin.
yeah, great person.
Yeah, she says I'm the luck of the draw guy.
I think you missed a message from Mark Rizak.
Well, I ain't missing it.
There's a little pop-up.
Italy's taken 2 years to get the Pizza Hut deal done, and I'm telling you something. The attitude of the city with that deal. If Cody Foster had never had gone down to the city and say it's tough to work with the city, I would think they were just picking on me.
You're equal opportunity pickers.
Yes, they're going to pick on you. And and for the first time, I had to tell a client, don't invest in Topeka today. Don't put any more of your capital in this town. An existing business.
Really?
Because it's just brain damage dealing with the city.
Okay, well, you're a candidate for the county commission.
Yeah,
So
my
a question becomes,
My
How do we fix
district,
this?
my district is also within the city limits of Topeka, and I'm not going to have my county commissioner Kevin Cook tell me go deal with the city.
Is that what he did? Well,
He did. Now go deal with the city. Like I don't know to go deal with the city.
well, and see, this
So
is
I built
something.
College Hill, whether you like it or not. I brought Heritage Tractor to town, got them developed. I've done. I know how to deal with the city, Kevin,
Yeah.
and that's why we're here. We're
Well,
here, and what and one of the main things that I want to do in my candidacy is change how we do economic development in the city, and what we really need to do in our county. What we really need to do is we need to define what is economic development, and we need the people to come forward. And so, with my mall mentality, growing up in the mall business, right? You
okay.
know a little bit about that.
By the way, I went out to Westridge the other day. I was going to
Doesn't
buy.
it have a whole new
I
feel?
was buying a T-shirt at Spencer's, an interesting little boutique.
Do
Um,
they have handcuffs?
well, I didn't get that far. Uh, I bought an existential dread T-shirt out there, but yeah, the mall has a whole different vibe now.
It does. It feels
It,
different.
it, it feels different. The energy seems to be there,
Hey,
and
did you see one of our compadres, Greg Pert?
yes,
He's a model.
I believe it.
He's modeling for one of the stores out there.
That I'm not nothing that you could.
He wrote some sort of email or like post like, you can make fun of me. Well, we're not here to make fun of you. Thanks for supporting Topeka.
Greg started a real estate company too that's got offices downtown. So
Yeah, he's in
aside
Ken
aside
Cranky's building.
aside from Valley, where I've been since forever, they're the only residential real estate business located downtown. And there was a time when most of the real estate agencies were downtown. Not that,
What time?
huh? Like in
In what time?
50s, 60s.
Well, I wasn't around then.
Uh,
I mean, I started with Bill Lewis Real Estate in 79, 80.
right, I remember that.
Bill Lewis.
Yeah,
And we were at Gate or on 17th by the ice cream store.
uh,
Seven
right. Yeah,
between, I
Dairy
think it's
Queen,
High.
17th and Medford, 17th and High,
Yeah, right in
right in
that.
there.
And so the very first house was the house across the alley at Wayne that I sold.
Mhm. So, getting back to what you were saying about transaction management and how much time it occupies, your point about it taking 2 years to get that Pizza Hut on Southeast 29th built illustrates what I'm saying. You would think, and I do this all the time in real estate. I get something going. My thoughts are, okay, we're going to do this, 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 and in 2 months, this deal will be closed. Everybody gets paid, everybody's happy, and we move on to the next thing.
Okay, so
But what happens is somewhere along the line, something goes wrong. You might have a septic tank problem. Um, you might have, in the case of commercial, I'm not sure what kinds of things you ran into, but do, apparently there was a need for a traffic study, and
oh
so,
my God,
and
the
so
traffic studies. This is a nightmare of this community.
so to get just to finish up that last thought I was having, as somebody who's trying to do a good job for my customers, I need to not get too busy to really bear down on these problems that occur in the course of bringing a transaction home. A lot of agents, you know, my contention is a lot of people in my business probably spend too much time promoting themselves, marketing, and getting as much business as they can. And then they end up not necessarily attending to all the details that they should be.
Well, that's why I like working with buyers.
So I get people coming to me saying, well, we bought this house 5 years ago. There were a lot of things we weren't told about it. And the agent was too busy to really find out. Some,
Hey, Chuck Valley sold my dad a house next to where the mayor lives on the country club,
the mayor. Which mayor?
Padilla.
Oh, okay.
So right there on the country club,
Elect,
Chuck Valley sold, and then
elect a mayor and he goes country club on
oh
you.
yeah, Mike Padilla, he's living on the country club. He lives in the Beelman's old house. But anyway,
Was that infamous case that was on septic and
yes.
nobody knew about that case? Every
So
time I
and
go,
Chuck didn't even stand up for Daddy O.
you should have.
I know because my dad and Chuck were friends.
Yeah, yeah. That case,
But anyway,
that's a really famous case. Every time I go in for a license renewal and take the class from Vern Jarbo on
I like Vernon.
on brokerage, that case is still being talked about as an example of
You know what? Their law firm didn't know that the wood in there was a gift from the Philippines on the 10th floor of the bank.
oh, really?
Yeah, my dad's law partner, Harry Colmary,
Oh, yeah.
which that's his desk in there. I'll show it to you. But Harry rewrote the Philippine Constitution in 68. He negotiated the Philippine Treaty and um, he wrote the GI Bill. My dad's law partner.
Okay.
I knew him as a child.
So when he was rewriting the Philippine Constitution, did he get a chance to scope out Imelda's shoe collection?
I don't know that for a fact.
Did he?
But I'll tell you what, I get great customer service from T-Mobile every time I mention the Philippines. And Harry Colmary, he's like famous there.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to us. We've just rambled. So let's bring it all back to the sales tax thing. Okay. And what is economic
Well,
development?
this pertains to your candidacy.
It does, because what the reason for economic development in the first place was to grow the population and spread out the tax base. And it hasn't done that.
Provide jobs.
No, the more people you have paying taxes, you broaden the tax base, the less taxes we pay as citizens.
Okay, and then if you give all these tax incentives to the next guy that wants to build a logistics center,
Well, all I'm getting at is it didn't grow the tax base
right?
or the population. So what is our goal? What is our goal in economic development? So if we look at just say Shawnee County borders is the mall. Now let's just fill up the middle. So I want to create a uniform development agreement that uses sales tax dollars to get infrastructure. Because look, we're spending 67% of the economic development money to go to Topeka for overhead. And that's wrong.
Okay.
You can't have $3.5 million. We got to have $3.5 million go into dirt.
Okay.
And so what I want to do is I also want to relook at how we do benefit districts, right? So if we could use economic development money to bring in to where you can stub the utilities to the premises and then have the developer do it. But what I want to do is I want to get to a uniform deal. So it doesn't matter who your last name is, and it's good for everybody.
Gotcha. It has to go. I'll keep going.
So we've got to identify. It's like,
as a county commissioner, what changes?
Well, as a county commissioner, I'm not going to approve a nickel to go to Topeka. I want Go Topeka to go.
Okay, where does Go Topeka get their money from?
The sales tax.
It's all sales tax
Yeah.
generated, but somebody has to approve allocating X.
Well, what we've done is we've entered into a contract with basically the Greater Topeka Partnership.
Okay.
Because they are Go Topeka,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got all this staff. So here's really the way it works, the way I look at it. Let's look at the Greater Topeka Partnership as the pro team.
Okay.
And let's use a baseball analogy. And Go Topeka is the farm club.
Okay.
So what they do is I've got some stuff here. There's a girl that works for Go Topeka. When you look at her resume, she doesn't do anything. She's never done anything. It's like her first job.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
so that's not, I mean, I don't want to fund that. I don't want to fund that job.
oh, come on. Where's your where's your compassion
I
for
have none.
a young woman getting her start in life?
Hey, my daughter had to get her start in
That's
life,
um
and she's managing properties in Kansas City.
okay. I'm going full Larry David on you, but
I like Larry David.
I'm leaping to the defense of this anonymous young lady who you would cast out into the
Yes, I
snow.
want to kick her to the curb.
She's going to be living in one of those homeless tents
Well,
down by the river,
if the Chamber
and
of
it'll be your
Commerce,
fault.
if the Chamber of Commerce,
Schmeitz.
if the that's sophistry. If we're going to speak Yiddish, that's all a bunch of sophistry. Seriously, I would rather see Doug Bassett or Mike Morris get some economic development money to help one of their deals. Okay? Because what the community does, it's like they've put too much burden on the developers over
Oh,
the years, forever.
so they almost tilt the odds in favor of the developer going broke
Exactly. And so if
by making the developer responsible for all of the development costs, primarily streets, curbs and gutters and sewers.
right, so and then we're gonna start talking about the next thing we're gonna start talking about is the MTPO.
And what is that?
Yeah, and
MTPO?
everybody ought to know what it is.
MTPO. Write it
MTPO.
down, sports fans.
Write it down.
Make a note.
Okay, so back to the
I'm
farm
doing that.
club.
MTPO.
MTPO.
We'll just
So I used to be a metropolitan. I was on the Metropolitan Planning Commission.
okay.
You remember Eisenhower,
The middle school or the president?
the president?
Yes, I like Ike.
Ike was really big into infrastructure.
Oh yeah, the interstates.
So when he did the interstate program, he said that small communities like Topeka should have a say in where the federal dollars go.
Okay.
So what they said was anytime, so docking, remember Big Bob?
Yes.
He might have actually been a dino, but anyway, there were a lot of Republicans that got Bob Docking in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he was a cool dude. I like Bob.
Well, their family was a banking family. They weren't like social science professors with all these liberal schemes for um, I mean, yeah, Bob Docking was a realist.
Yeah, so what I used to page in the Senate for Bob Story.
Yeah, yeah.
You remember him?
There's another realist. Seriously,
Well, so
good man.
yeah,
Bob Story.
he was. So
And
anyway,
Docking's dad, George Docking.
was he a governor too?
Yeah,
I never knew George.
George Docking fell on a grenade for John Kennedy, and because he knew that if he endorsed Kennedy, it would probably ruin him politically. But he said it's more important for Kennedy to be elected president than it is for me to be reelected governor. And that kind of attitude is very rare among politicians
I
these
thought he
days.
snuck Marilyn Monroe out the back door one night.
No, not George. That would have
It's a little funny.
he would have had to have dealt with Virginia on that one.
So
Virginia Docking was a force in her own right. Now we're really talking old history here.
so Docking said, look, everywhere there's a metropolitan planning commission made up of the city and the county,
Right.
you're the MPO. MPO.
Mhm.
Take the T out.
Okay.
So when I'm on the planning commission, I got into it.
The T is gone, folks.
I got into it. So Joan Wagner, remember Joan?
Of course.
I think the last really good leader we had in this town, as in the city. Name a better one.
I couldn't.
Joan. Yeah. I want to get her live.
I really couldn't.
I want to get Joan live in here. And the people that put the toilet seat and stuff in front of her office, after she got beat in an election. That's mean. Those are mean people. And those people do not need to be in public office when you're moving forward. We're thinking about who to put in the Senate in that district.
Not a good look.
Not a good look. I mean, what kicks a guy when he's down or a girl?
I get your point.
Okay, so she put me on the planning commission.
Okay.
And then I'm reading up on it, and I kind of hated getting pushed around by staff. Because staff already had an idea of what we're going to do and how we're going to go about it.
Now you're talking city planning?
Metropolitan planning.
Okay. So
back then, it was made up of the city and the county, which is better because if you've got a problem, at least you can go to your elected official. So it had people from the city and the county on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? See, right now, this is why we need to stop the 3-mile radius. We got to kick the city of Topeka out of the planning outside the city limit. We need to do that today. Rick Clues has got a bill coming up in the Senate to do that very thing. Because look, if something happened to
spell that out,
to kick the city out of the 3-mile area.
Because currently the city does have jurisdiction over
3 miles
developments within 3 miles.
Yes. And so if there's a problem in there, let's just say nobody on city council likes you.
Okay.
Let's just say that.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, let's just say hypothetically.
They think you're a schlemiel, to throw in another Yiddish term.
What's that in Yiddish?
Huh?
What's a schlemiel?
Schlemiel?
Yeah.
Well, it's, basically unlikable, detestable person.
So
who's kind of
schlemiel,
kind of a foul ball, so to speak.
This schlemiel, that's funny. So if you've got a problem, I can't go to my county commissioner and complain.
A better term might be you're a pariah with the city.
Yeah, and any time Topeka doesn't like it when you point out the problems. Maybe Joe Ledbetter will come back to life now that he's not, Steve Wade hired him.
Didn't they pay him to go away or something?
Well, and Joe says that's what they did to me when they bought some land from me out in the Commerce Park.
Right.
And I said, Joe, that just wasn't enough money. And I got to be self-righteous with Doug Kinzinger for about 5 minutes because I had my check in my hand and I go, this is a bad use of taxpayer dollars. And because to have Dana Kaye and me in the deal, I think we had a better shot at developing that land. And it sat vacant for 18 years. It's been off the tax roll for 18 years.
What's on it now?
A sign from a company in Kansas City that doesn't even have a listing on the property.
Where?
Because they're friends with the Greater Topeka Partnership.
And where is this exactly?
It's at 49th Street and Highway 75. It's north of Bimbo Bakery.
Okay, 49.
So at one time I had...
so how big a parcel is this?
75 acres.
And who bought it?
Go Topeka. From the tax player. From Dana Kaye Anderson and his wife, Sue.
And it sat there vacant for 18 years.
Yeah, off the tax roll.
But tax dollars were used to buy it.
Yes.
And now nothing is happening.
Right.
But there is a Kansas City real estate broker who does not have a listing.
Has a sign on it.
Now, in residential, I'm not sure about commercial, but in residential, I can't do that.
Well, now, technically, I don't know about your board because I'm not a member of the board of realtors. But all I need to do is have a email or a letter, anything signed
authorizing
a sign on the property. But now that brings up another point of what I want to do is I want to engage the 720 members of the Topeka Board of Realtors. I want to engage because you're a business. And everybody with a real estate license is their own business. We're all independent contractors.
There you go.
So I think with 720 small businesses involved with the economic development project, we can do a lot better job than go Topeka.
Okay.
Because what I want to do is I want to pivot. So if you think that all that we got out there is good, fine. Okay, I'm not going to, let's don't argue it. It's already there. Can't change it. I don't think it was a good use of our tax dollars, but it's too late. But we can also take the money away from Go Topeka, put $3.5 million on the street, and then let's let 720 businesses have a shot at it. So I want to make it to where you can bring a deal in.
I think they're doing something like that in Kansas City, aren't they?
I don't know, but I'd like to know about it.
I was just um,
You see, do
I was
you
just
see my
reading
point?
in the
Because this,
Kansas City Business News publication that some funds have been distributed to private entities to do projects.
well,
I need
I
to.
was meeting with Jim Klossman the other day,
Uh-huh.
and you know, it's it's really hard to get mad at a very successful guy. You know, you shouldn't hate him because he's got a lot of money, right? But what I want to do,
Well, your class envy, of course, is one of the distinguishing features of American politics. But your point's well taken.
so what I'm saying is, because I'm talking to him about, and he said, well, I'll talk to Matt about the bloated salaries.
Of
Go Topeka.
Okay, what is an example of a bloated salary?
Well, the budget.
Okay,
Well, so if you went in for a grant and told the person giving you the grant that you're going to use 67% of it on overhead, would that be bloated?
it might merit some scrutiny. Yes, 67%.
And here's what I'm telling you is the 720 people that are members that live every day by the deal, we can do a better job than Go Topeka. And that's exactly.
Well, except how do you get all 720 of them unified and focused
You don't.
on an objective?
You don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, you don't. You don't care. I don't care. I only care if 2 or 3 people want to do it.
Of course, I guess this gets back maybe to the charter for Go Topeka. What do they say their objective is,
Well,
or have they ever said?
well, let's go back. Let's go back to, um, let's go. You know, when I started in real estate, 10% of the people did 90% of the business.
Oh yeah, I've heard that before. The old 20/80, 20% of yeah, 20% of the agents do 80% of the
But all I'm
business.
getting at is if one guy over here all of a sudden's got a deal that he needs some infrastructure dollars, he ought to be able to bring it forward.
Okay.
Here's what's the mystery is that none of my deals have ever qualified. Ever.
Strangely enough.
Isn't that funny? What was the Shamil?
It's all part of being a pariah.
Well, and
But
somebody from the planning department said, well, he got his deal, you know, for Pizza Hut.
oh, you're talking
It
about
took an act of God to let me.
you're talking about Southeast 29th again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2 years to move a Pizza Hut at 675 feet.
Yeah. And it's well, and
Well, so here's a case in point. Look at McDonald's. When they need to
so
do a new
they're saying
store,
you got your deal and you shouldn't have any more deals?
well, no, it's like even though it took 2 years, you get to do your deal. So don't fucking ask for anything else, you know?
Okay.
Attitude.
I get it. Yeah.
That attitude will not flush.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really it it doesn't really help anybody
Okay, but
because
tell me,
that ground you're talking about sat vacant for a long time. Now you've got somebody that wants to do something with it. Why should it take 2 years? That's I think I understand
incompetency.
understand your point there.
Yeah, incompetency. There's some incompetency somewhere. So let's go back to this traffic study thing. So I did an open records request for Chipotle's
Oh
traffic study.
yeah, Chipotle's.
And so I said,
29th in California.
yeah, I said, look, I'll just copy their plat notes and we'll live up to that. It's a uniform thing. It's 1,000 feet away. So why not dovetail? Their plat notes made sense. So we'll do what you told Chipotle they got to do, and we'll put it on our plat and let's move forward. Go to our McDonald's, tore down their building, build a new one. And the reason they did it is because it comes a point in time where the lines change and you got to do things differently. They got to be more meticulous inside. Mm. So it's more important for McDonald's just to start over. I mean, that's sometimes like the theory of, that building, don't tear that building down. Well, sometimes you just got to do it. It outlives its usefulness. It's just functionally obsolete. And so,
I've never gotten over the fact that they tore down the Norva Hotel.
Right across from the police department.
But that's, yeah.
Well, did you notice the hotel that they bought's got red lights on it now?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, go buy it. Is it the Norva relived?
Maybe they should rename it.
I mean, I'm telling you, the red lights. Padilla probably remembers the Norva.
I'm sure he does.
I mean, he was a flat-foot beat cop at one time, wasn't he?
Yeah, he probably remembers, more to the point, a little facility on Kansas Avenue called the Aluminum Door.
And for those of you that don't know, for my younger viewers, for our younger viewers, the Norva Hotel was a house of ill repute.
It was rumored to be.
Well, I can't testify to that being true. I was too young.
When I was in high school.
Back then, I didn't need, you paid for it in a different way.
Everybody gets paid.
You pay for it one way or another.
So McDonald's tears down the old McDonald's.
Yes, but they didn't have to do a traffic study.
They didn't have to do a traffic study, and they're right across the street from the shopping center that the Pizza Hut's moving out of to go 675 feet east to your buildings.
And the reason, which brings up the Pizza Hut that you represent, that got through planning.
The building I represent, not the Pizza Hut that I represent.
But see, the point is, and here's the real point to this whole crazy thing, is this is a company that does 4.6 billion in sales. They've got 2,600 restaurants. They got 75,000 employees. And that company,
this, by the way, is, for anyone wondering, it's the Flynn Group.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and Greg Flynn, we ought to be doing more deals with the Flynn Group. So what if Pizza Hut wanted to put 100 Pizza Huts in town? What do we care?
Put one on every corner.
Pizza Hut on every corner. What do we care? Let the market decide. And that's what Topeka doesn't do. Topeka wants to control the market. Topeka wants to control who gets the deal. And that's why we don't grow. They stifle or retard development because they got to decide who gets it.
Right. And why should anybody, or why should not anybody, get a particular deal? That's your question?
Yeah. So every Shamil should qualify.
Yeah.
Every Shamil that walks in. And the point is, with the 720 businesses, well, if you don't want to do a commercial deal, don't. But let's not shut you out.
So what kind of economic development would you foresee for Topeka?
I'm talking about, what I want to focus in on is retail sales, deals for retailers. Because we're going to have to grow. We're going to have to regrow. This whole thing about jobs. That's all bullshit. We got to start growing people, and we got to start growing businesses. And that's the main reason I want to engage the real estate people, because we're smarter. You guys are smarter. All the real estate people are smarter because we live by the deal. So if we're making any money, it's because we're out hustling.
And we're problem solvers.
Yeah, we don't have, we're not saying, take that $3.5 million, give it to me, and I'll dole it out, to the people that deserve it.
After I get my 67%.
Yeah. So listen to this. So there's $1 million over the last 2 years that Go Topeka has doled out in grants, scholarships, gifts. Basically, it's slush fund.
Okay.
But this Shamil can't get any.
What does
So this is now what I've done is Kevin Cook, the county, Amanda Stanley, they're officers of the court.
Okay.
And if this is illegal, if they're doing something illegal, they're going to have to answer to the Kansas Supreme Court.
Okay.
And that's where this will go.
Where what will go?
The question,
Okay.
whether if what they're doing is legal.
Okay.
Because I don't believe it to be legal.
So does some kind of charge need to be filed or some kind of lawsuit need to be
No,
filed?
the people need to revolt.
Okay.
I mean, look, that was the ballot question. And where do you see that Go Topeka can live on 67% of the sales tax? And where do you see that they can dole out grants?
Shall the city of Topeka levy an additional retailer sales tax in the amount of 0.5% to be used exclusively for cost of maintenance and improvements of existing city streets?
Well, wait a minute. This is the one I wanted you to read. This was an amended one. That was another half cent, but
this is a countywide sales tax question here. Shall the 0.5% of retailer sales tax be renewed and levied in Shawnee County, taking effect? This was 2017 and expire 15 years later after its effective date to provide revenue for. Well, this is interesting. What are we doing up on? This is economic development, and then it specifies apparently 17 different areas, and
those are for street projects.
These are street
and bridge projects.
Okay.
But the ballot question just says economic development. So if you guys want to tell me
revenue for economic development, right?
So if you want to tell me that 3.5 million to Go Topeka's salary is economic development, I think you're an idiot.
So whatever happened to the this goes back to 2014?
Yeah.
Okay. Huntoon Street from Gage to Harrison. This all has to do with streets, you're saying?
Well, the top issue is the one I'm concerned about today. Because so what has happened over
so this says economic development plus boom, boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, boom. Okay, I get it now.
Okay, so but here's the point being is that our tax base isn't broad enough just to pay for us every day to live.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So what we've got to do is we've got to grow the population and we've got to broaden the tax base. That's where we need to fill up the middle.
Okay.
We've got enough anchor department stores. Our anchors are in place. And we got to, this Choose Topeka thing's that's a bad deal too, because we're like,
Choose Topeka?
Yeah. It's another one of the slush funds that Go Topeka manages. It's we got to tie a pork chop around your neck to get the dog to play with you.
Okay. Yeah, that was in the Wall Street Journal. And I heard more about that on public radio Kansas City the other day. Choose Topeka, sure.
Okay, but really, so what they've done is
why not?
The farm club is promoting the pro teams benefactors.
Well, and then this raises a point with me too. When you're talking about the pro team versus the amateurs and Choose Topeka, I don't necessarily have a problem with Choose Topeka per se, but it's kind of like, here's my analogy. Let me finish this analogy. Right now in Kansas City, they're talking about replacing a perfectly good baseball stadium, the K, with a brand new shiny stadium somewhere. They're going to spend billions of dollars. Some of it's going to be taxed, some of it private, on a new stadium. My point being, hey, why don't you put together a winning team first? Uh, you know, as opposed to a team that loses 100 games a year, why don't you work on building a winning baseball team,
Okay.
then build a new stadium? So
So
my
let's
point,
use your analogy.
the analogy
The winning
being
team. Let's
the
make Topeka the winning team.
the
Put
analogy
Shawnee County first.
the analogy for Topeka being, okay, we can offer money to people to choose Topeka. Why don't we work on making Topeka so attractive that people want to come here?
Exactly. You're making my point.
That's like putting the cart before the horse.
Exactly.
Uh,
And so that's what I want to change. I want to make Topeka the winning team. My goal is to make it where Bantleon would want to move home to Topeka.
in other words, let's say the Royals are winning 106 games a year instead of losing 106 games a year. People are going to be lining up to buy season tickets, box seats. Uh, that stadium would be full all the time.
Okay, so
And so
now,
Topeka, let's say you've got Topeka, uh, and actually Topeka's reputation has improved somewhat already, but again, people would be,
when did it improve?
well,
When did our reputation improve?
I don't know. All I'm doing is I'm quoting some articles I've seen in the Wall Street Journal about this supposedly being a hot housing market, which, by the way,
Do you believe it to be a hot housing market?
if I can interject something here, um, I was just reading in Barron's magazine and all
Hey, can we take it? Can you go on with that thought? And I'm going to get some coffee. Let's take an. I'm going to enter. But go on with your Barron's
I will
market. I'll be right back.
go on
I'll be
with
right
this
back.
thought. Barron's magazine made the point that trying to artificially limit rents is the wrong approach to solving the housing shortage for middle and lower income people. In other words, a lot of metropolitan areas have started. New York City being, a prominent example of this. They'll tell landlords, well, you can only charge $1,000 a month, and it's called rent control. And there's been a lot of talk lately about more rent control, when actually the solution is to increase the supply of available housing. How do you do that? This article mentions other countries, such as Austria, such as Singapore, where public money is used to build, operate, and maintain public housing for middle income people. In other words, right now in Topeka, if you're making, say, 35,000 bucks a year, you're not going to go out and buy a $250,000 house. But because of inflation in the housing marketplace, people are increasingly, younger first time people are priced out of the market. So then they end up having to go rent a crappy apartment from Lou McGinnis and not have central air for 2 months in the summertime. So,
Lou McGinnis doesn't seem to be a popular fella in this town.
well, he's had like two front page articles about people living in his apartments that can't get repairs done.
So Lou McGinnis, hang on. So Lou McGinnis bought College Hill from us. Okay. And if the city would have recorded the TIF agreement and the development agreement, they could have said, okay, Lou, we're going to approve the sale because that was in the development agreement, but you got to bring everything that you've got up to code. So everybody blames College Hill and being a failure on me. It ain't my fault.
What I was getting to is that,
Sorry.
what if here's a way you can put Shawnee County and Topeka on the map and make thousands of people want to move here. Uh, you 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 develop an innovative, publicly developed housing like in Austria, like in Singapore, and elsewhere, and for people who can't necessarily buy a house right now, you build them a nice place, and they can rent for 700 or 800 a month, and have have a nice place to live.
I
And
like this idea where you're going because I'm going to tell you
this,
about a deal that I'm working on that we can do this very project.
okay.
And did you know?
So it's like right now, let's say you you you've got some land listed over by 21st and Adams.
Perfect place for it.
I was thinking, what if you could build 50 small, I wouldn't say tiny houses, but let's say you you build 50 houses that people can afford. They're new, they're nice. Um, I'd say somebody say renting in Lawrence right now that wants to own a house, they go out in Lawrence and they look at a house livable, 250 to $400,000. Well, what if they could come here and buy a nice little house for 150,000?
So this is interesting. You brought up Singapore.
Yeah,
Harry Colmary, one of his clients was the country of Singapore.
yeah,
And he created a trust fund where all the taxpayers paid into it to guarantee their retirement. It was a voluntary, mandatory
yeah,
Social Security plan that was run by the country, but run with like its own set of rules. Like this is it, can't change it.
right.
So I love your idea. And so what I'm doing right now, I've teamed up with a couple of home developers, and we're going to do affordable housing, and we're going to do exactly the way you said it, and then we'll get them all pre-leased, and then we'll market the whole package to an investor.
There you go.
And so here's the project. It's up on Rochester Road, and that took a year and a half to get the zoning approved for Craig McCullough. The city council person, unfortunately, was not before it. And I think all she was, she's a nice lady and she had all these old people complaining and she was just trying to do what her constituents wanted. But I'm not so sure that it was good for the community. It shouldn't take a year and a half to get through the planning process. But look, it's $1,600,000 to get this is yours. You can have it.
Okay.
It's $1,600,000 to get sewer lines to it. So what I want to do, this should be one of those projects where we redo how we do benefit districts, and we make it to where the developer doesn't have to go across public land. Okay, it's not my obligation to do the work of the utility to get it to my property. But if we want, so let's put it up to the consensus. If we can get a consensus from the community that this program is good for everybody, it's just not Henry McClure winning one time, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
Right, right.
So all I want to do is I want to put Shawnee County first. I want to engage the people in the real estate business who I believe are smarter day to day of what's going on in the streets. And I want to grow our tax base with 100 small deals.
And
so we can put 62 houses on that. I think 62 houses on that, single family houses.
a question becomes too, and we might be somewhat talking across purposes here because this article that I read talks very explicitly about if the with public housing you're taking a lot you're approaching the question of construction costs. That's that's part of the issue is that construction costs have gone up so much that it's really difficult to build a cheap house. I don't know what do you envision a price range for this development here?
No, not yet. I'm putting the model together. So what we're going to use is computer modeling.
Because I don't Okay, computer modeling.
So then we're going to model it. We'll have the models. We'll get bids on everything, and we'll have the whole thing. And see that
How?
all the development is private money.
Okay,
I'm not asking for money from the ground up, but I'm asking for some help with the sewer line.
right, right. And what's the chances of getting that?
Well, that's now is that sewer line to do this project to create 62 new houses that any of you guys can sell or lease?
They typically,
Is it to have this project get some funds or keep funding go Topeka at $3.5 million?
well, yeah. And then if you're talking north of,
Are you getting? Are you?
yeah, you're talking north, and a lot of people have been saying for a little while that northern Shawnee County is an area that if you could build new houses, you'd fill it up pretty quick,
Well, here's the thing about it.
assuming reasonable cost.
That's on the other side of Walmart
Yeah,
and Dillon's.
Dillon's, not to mention Aldi.
Yeah, Aldi's over there.
Yep,
Club Car Wash.
I have friends who won't shop anywhere but Aldi.
There may be a big deal going on that corner bank building. I'm telling you, I know who it is.
Oh yeah.
I helped make the deal. I'm not going to say who it is right now.
Okay, okay. Will it be retail or will it
It'll be a
financial?
restaurant.
Oh, it'll be a restaurant? Okay.
Yeah, and a national, a big deal.
It'll be a home run because there aren't that many restaurants up north.
So,
And that's right off the highway, so people can come to that from all parts of town.
so it really needs to be the people engaging. So if Go to Peak is such a great idea, let the chamber fund it.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, the chamber runs the city.
okay,
The pro team runs it.
okay.
Don't you think so?
Well, I'm supposed to be asking you these questions.
Oh,
I don't know.
did you have some questions for me?
I will honestly say that I do not know.
Ask one question.
But well, I was interested actually, and I know you've got to go pretty soon to get your lunch appointment, but uh, I had a couple of things I was interested about, and we've actually touched on a lot of these questions that I wrote down. Uh, what do
You mean why in the hell am I running?
That was my first question. What got you interested in running, and do you think you can win?
I think I can win. And a friend of mine said, I think you can win. And I had 3 people call me up and ask me why the emergency systems didn't go off in their neighborhood because the Shawnee County runs the emergency management. So there were 3 people that think I can win.
Emergency systems.
So when the sirens go off.
Oh, like they did,
Yeah.
what was that, Monday or day was that? The statewide tornado drill? Yeah.
No. This was last night.
Oh, last night.
Yeah, and I saw Dusty Nichols today, and he goes, "Well, Henry," he goes, "they only go off in areas that you got to take cover."
Well, has there ever been in the district that you're running? Which district number?
So I'm in District 2. Kevin Cook is currently the
and he's been there for quite a while.
Yes.
So my question is, on the subject of can you win, has there been a competitive race in
No, I think Pavis ran against him and did a good job last time.
who?
His name's John Pavis. He's an insurance agent,
Yeah.
and I think he gave him a pretty good run for the money.
Um,
I talked to him on the phone. I hope I could get his support.
I'm just going to throw this out there in district number 2. Is it, does anyone know what the percentage of homeowners vs the percentage of renters is?
No,
Because I'm wondering, here's a,
but Topeka does all the studies. They ought to have that.
Here-
Call Molly Howie. She should know everything.
here's a campaign question for you.
Okay.
I have a lot of other questions that I won't ask because
Next
we're
time
running out
I'm
of
giving
time.
you a rocking chair.
But
I'm bringing the rocking chairs in.
oh,
You keep leaning back.
I always do this.
These
but
are old captain's chairs. They're all right.
here's an issue you can run on.
Okay.
I'm just going to give this to you. The current situation, when you talk about sales tax, that's one thing. That's voluntary. In other words, if I want to go buy a shiny new sweater somewhere, I can do that. On the other hand, if I own a house in Shawnee County, I don't have the option of deciding how much property tax I'm going to pay. Property taxes have been skyrocketing because of the inflation of real estate values based on a handful of sales. I say handful relative to the population at large. So the people who aren't selling their houses are getting taxed and taxed and taxed. The only ones who benefit from those house sales are the people selling, and I suppose real estate agents who collect their commissions. But I wonder if some kind of direct mail to the people who are really disgruntled about, when your appraised value goes up from 250 to 3, you're being asked to pay taxes on a whole other house. It's like you just bought a $50,000 house that you now have to pay taxes for.
We've got to get, we've
And
got to,
I don't think anybody on the county commission, whether it's Cook or whoever, has really addressed this. I mean, what do you do to to uncouple property taxes from property values, which again are theoretical values assigned by the county appraiser? Not that I have a problem with the county appraiser. They're just doing their jobs, but they're conjuring these theoretical values for people who aren't even selling their houses.
okay, and I will say this,
And it's a de facto tax increase.
this is actually another show.
Yeah.
This is a complete other show. Let's address this. Let's bring this up in another show. But what it comes back to, it really comes back to economic development. Because if you broaden the tax base,
Okay, I'm with you. I agree.
okay,
I see that.
it would solve that problem.
If you have enough money coming in from other sources, you don't need to raise property taxes.
There's a point in time where you got to look, is it an income problem or a spending problem?
Well, a spending problem could be alluded to by why is it that in the wake of 2020, where people are losing their jobs, et cetera, because of COVID, why does the county commission authorize buying this whole new office building at 7th and Quincy? Where the hell did that come
Well,
from?
and that brings up another question, whether the government should lease or own. That's another show.
That's another show.
That's another show.
We've got two more shows, sports fans.
Topeka Factor. And I've really enjoyed this conversation. I mean, I think we rambled a lot because we've known each other for so long. And, Marshall Black Lung Barber was my hero back in the day. I mean,
back in those 2-pack-a-day days.
Pack of cigarettes or booze?
2-pack. Well, those were 6-packs. Cigarettes 2 to 3 packs a day.
Oh man,
I'd kill my first pack before I even got off the air.
Oh man,
hence the name Black.
Yeah, I smoked cigarettes too for a while.
Oh boy,
that was the hardest drug to quit.
It is. It's extremely difficult.
It was really the hardest drug.
It can be done though.
Yeah, it can be done. You can quit anything with self-discipline. And you can't change anything without changing your mind.
True that.
Okay, so let's bring up can I close?
Yes, better.
Tax base.
And
let's go to Kansas City.
Okay.
Okay, so Mace Rich, who I went to work for in 1983, who developed Arlen's at where was Gordman's and Bennigan's and Steak and Ale in the theater. They developed that in the 60s. They were second owners of White Lakes. They became the third largest mall owner in the country.
Okay.
Owns half of the Country Club Plaza today.
Oh, yeah, that just sold, didn't it?
Well, we've owned it for a while.
Yeah.
And I own a very small share of stock. So it's my ego. I got to feel like I helped build that company. There's a lot of my deals that are still in place.
Right. Okay.
Because I had a job, my last job in leasing, and this is it. All I've done my whole life is put people in business in the malls.
Okay.
And that's why I think I can do a better job personally than go to Topeka personally. And that's why I want to work with the 720 people. I mean, you and I haven't asked you for a nickel for my helping you advertise your deal, but I did it because you're a friend of mine. Because you got to succeed for me to succeed.
There you go.
Mark Rizak and Mike Morris and Doug Bassett and Scott Bowling, Shannon Cook, everybody's got to succeed. But I'm telling you, the people I just named can do real estate better than Go Topeka because I've really looked at it as of them being a subsidized real estate company.
And the reason we do real estate successfully, Scott Bowen knows that if he doesn't get his deal done, he doesn't get paid.
Right. There's
Whereas
a big difference in government.
whereas
It's like the government shouldn't have bought the Norva Hotel.
I'm not taking it. Well, there's a big parking lot there where the hotel used to be. What?
No, what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
I meant the new
Oh, the new
hotel,
Norva.
the new Norva.
Norva 2.
Okay, so back to Missouri,
Good point.
back to the taxes. So Country Club Plaza, the real estate taxes are $44 a square foot.
Really? Okay, that's part of somebody's triple net if they're going to lease. They got
So
to kick in $44 for every
it's
square
just
foot
real
lease.
estate taxes.
That's the tax. Boy.
So this is what I'm telling you, Topeka. This is what's coming our way.
Okay.
Country Club Plaza was the first organized shopping center in the country,
It's still beautiful.
but $44 a square foot for taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, so for you guys that don't live by the square foot, it's you can't make a nickel on it. There's no reason to be in business.
Hmm.
And so let's look at Shawnee County as a mall.
Okay.
Okay, we draw from all the counties around us for shopping. And if we make Shawnee County a haven of retail, that sales tax can start making Topeka the better place.
Gotcha.
So let's get the sales tax. That's like it's like importing dollars. The
Yeah.
pull factor. We got to create a pull factor
So
where people come to Topeka to shop, but we got to focus on retail.
if you had a Cabela's or a Bass Pro Shop,
We're better off supporting the retail side of the corporate
those guys
welfare.
would be
But
generating
what I want to
hundreds
do
of
is I
thousands.
want to build.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that the little guy's got his money because we got. Remember when you used to say I trade with them?
Right.
What about in the radio business? How many times did you have trade?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Trading. Yeah. Yeah.
Look at it, because he remembers they trade with bars and restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Couple of memorable nights.
that smile.
Couple of memorable nights at Jean Lafitte's up there on the hill, where the bitter end used to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, those trades.
But we got to get it to where people are trading with each other.
Sure.
You know, we trade with that
Yeah.
guy.
Well, this is part of my. I don't really have a problem with Amazon, but whenever possible, I won't buy from Amazon. I'll go to a locally established business, and realizing that when I buy something from a locally established business, their sales taxes go to support schools, go to support road maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. When you buy from Amazon, all that does is buy Jeff Bezos another yacht. So,
Or pay his divorce settlement.
yeah.
Hey, where's his wife?
She's looking for you,
You
Henry.
know, I've got an Amazon box out there.
I
Did you
saw
see how I
that.
repurposed that? Amazon actually had a person come by here, knock on my door, say hello. They had customer service come to my door.
Well, and I don't want to sound like I'm, fighting the headwinds of changes in retail. I'm just saying that it's kind of like what you're talking about with people in Topeka needing to support other people in Topeka to the best extent that they can.
We managed now because if it's
Although,
happening at the Country Club Plaza and people can't afford to be there,
oh yeah,
that's coming our way.
right. You're
Well, I'm
right.
telling
You're
you,
absolutely right.
yes. So, I left Mace Rich. I had a great deal. I had an incredible deal. Imagine me with an unlimited expense account, no oversight, but I made them so much money it was hard. Henry had his own deal.
Yeah.
But I thought shopping on the internet was going to become popular, and I tried to capture it. I didn't.
There's a lot of there's many sides to that, and then
Then I didn't. I was a fish out of water. I should have,
yeah.
because I'm not a computer guy, but I should have kept my day job, had a side hustle.
There you go.
Hindsight. So
So
I talked to Bentley on. But if you met Bianca, I call her Bentley on. That's her middle name. Have you ever met Bianca?
I think you brought her up to the old real estate show once, didn't you? Yeah.
Well, so anyway, talk to her. You got to hear her. She's an executive.
Where?
Kansas City. She works for the company that owns Raintree across the street. She started there. Well, she actually started.
What
She
company
started
is
with
that?
me. It's called Landmark Realty,
Okay. Okay.
and it's 500 million in assets. They're based out of San Francisco. I'm going to try to get their company to move to Topeka. I wouldn't
Why?
want to live in San Francisco on a bet today.
Oh, forget about it. Well, again, you're talking about an area where any given house is priced way beyond the means of the average person working in San Francisco.
I
Sure.
I have a friend that lives up north. I'm going to go visit him. He can see. Uh, oh man, he actually bought a mill from the Mars family.
Yeah.
He owns 1/10,000th of all the water of California.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Oh boy. But yeah, people what people tend to forget what they think of locations like San Francisco as being glamorous, Miami Beach, everybody wants to go there, but the thing I tell people about Topeka, this town's an easy deal to do. You can be anywhere in 10 or 15 minutes. If you want to go to the store, buy groceries, 5, 10 minutes, you're at the store, half an hour, you're back home.
You ought to see my place
Whereas
downtown.
whereas you live in a city like San Francisco, New York, whatever, you can't just go to the store. It's a huge you can't just own a car, and have a place to park it where it's not going to get broken into. We have a crime problem in this town, but it's nothing compared to other markets. Anyway, how were you wrapping up? I was getting off the point here.
Well, what I'm wrapping up is we got to look forward.
Yeah.
And what we need, and I'm not saying I'm the answer, but I've got a lot of business experience.
Hmm.
And I've risked my own capital. It's like a crapshoot, right? You ever played craps?
Yeah.
Okay. And that life's a crapshoot. It really is. And roll the dice, right? So the people that, and this is what I want to offer people is, if you want to run for an office, buy your domain. You can look at my website if we can just kind of change it, but I'll host your website for a year. Anybody that wants to get in and run for office, it starts it starts with the school board. It starts with city council. I think it starts with county commission. But if you want to run for the higher offices, I want to help anybody that wants to personally get involved because we have to take back our government. I mean, we can do a whole show on the MTPO
As well we should.
because what it talks about is the federal funds that come into our community.
Hmm.
And the people are supposed to be deciding where those federal funds go to. They haven't even had a they haven't had a meeting in person of the MTPO in 3 years.
Interesting.
No, it's not. It sucks.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because we, the people, have to start taking in charge. Don't blame the people in city council. Oh, it's our fault. It's the Shamils.
Well,
We need more Shamils.
activism.
Yeah, we've got to get more active. If we want to grow our community, it's up to us to grow it.
And it's up to the corollary to that would be it should be up to the government not to impede it, but rather to assist.
Hey,
as opposed to throwing up a lot of.
Well, and if there's something wrong, I'm going to be able to go to Kevin Cook and say, "Help me out."
Right.
I look at the county commission as like it's like the board of appeals. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Hey, it didn't work good in the city. You guys are a voice of reason. They're 3 JETO votes. JETO, the Joint Economic Development Organization.
And it does occur to me, well, I know we're wrapping up, so strike that thought.
We can do a whole show on wrapping up.
Okay.
Am I supposed to be somewhere now?
I thought you
What
had
time is it?
Didn't you have a lunch deal?
Yeah,
A lunch meeting
I got a big deal.
with a certain city official who will remain nameless, but
Oh, David Banks
his,
doesn't mind.
his
No,
initials are Dr. Dunk. I'm trying to figure
I
out.
like
Oh,
David
there's my
Banks.
phone. Okay, I'll tell you what time it is. It's 12 o'clock on the nose.
12 o'clock, I'm late.
High noon.
We're going to Skinny's if you'd like to join us. You guys can buy our lunch.
Tell Dr. Dunk we're on the way.
You can join us.
Okay.
Why not? All right, we'll go live maybe at Skinny's. Hey, thank you. That was a good show. Did you get any questions or did we cover it?
We covered a lot of it.
All right.
There are more questions for future shows.
If anybody watched any of this, you've got a lot of personal fortitude.
You got a lot of patience. That's good.
All right, we're live. So this is the YouTube channel. This one will go up. I'll put this on the Topeka Factor.
Okay.
This was live to Facebook. Serious, I'm getting
Facebook Live.
who in the fuck would? Oh, excuse me.